Hi there, I'm back. I love lighting. I'm so cramped up in here you wouldn't believe it. Someday I'll take a picture of this so you really feel sorry for me. But I love lights. I like it when the thing is dark and you can see my silhouette and then boom, I'm here. Oh yeah, ooh, it's like big business. Anyway, I mentioned Sunnyvale, California. We lived down there for a bit. Great neighbors down there. A lot of Hispanic people down there in this south end of the Bay Area, and wonderful people. Gosh, just loved them. And we had a little problem with the natural gas coming into the house. It got messed up and started leaking, so they had to shut the gas off, and we were without heat for a few weeks. I mean, because the gas lines went under the cement of the house, and man, they had a hard time trying to figure out how to fix all that. And the neighbors, they brought wood over and food, and great people. Gosh, just beautiful people. And that was nice. That was hard to move from. There was a next door neighbor that I hadn't talked to too much. He was a young fellow. He had a family. And the night before we moved, he came over. And he says, Jim, he says, I'm sorry, man, I haven't come over and met you more or talked to you more, but I come over, I want to bless you. I said, okay. He says, and he mentioned something about a religion he was in, and I didn't really understand it. But he stands back and he raises his hand or something and he pronounces this. To me, it was gibberish. But I felt a power there. There was kind of a power. And I thanked him, and then he leaves, and I thought, man, that was different, okay? So in my television repair, some of my really good customers were in really extravagant neighborhoods. And one such neighborhood was Woodside, and it was south of San Francisco. It was south of South San Francisco. It was down on the peninsula, and beautiful area. Oh man, I mean, zillion-dollar homes down there, Woodside. Ooh, really nice. And I went down there one day to service a television. It was an older couple, and you could tell they were very well off. Oh man, a lot of money. And I fixed their TV, and they paid, and I saw them 2 or 3 times, and the last time I went to work on their television, and it was about every 6 months or so, I find out that the wife, and they were an older couple, the wife wrote many prayers for the Presbyterian Church. She wrote, worldwide. I mean, that she wrote a lot of the prayers for the church. And so that was kind of cool. I thought, wow, that's great. So I had a feeling this was the last time I was going to see these folks for some reason. And I told them I really appreciated coming out here, and they had squirrels in their backyard. Oh man, this place was so beautiful. They had the most beautiful backyard you could ever imagine. And squirrels were running around and gathering stuff for winter, and you know how squirrels do. It was just really cool. And I told them, and I complimented their home, and especially the backyard. I really love the backyard. And they were just a great couple, a beautiful couple. So I'm leaving, I'm walking out, and she says, Jim, she says, just a moment. I said, okay. So I set my toolbox down, and I'm outside the door. And she comes up and she says, she says, I really feel inspired to say this to you. And I said, okay. And she mentioned when she was married to that old fellow over there. And she said that, she says a lot of people were there, and they had food, and she was in her wedding dress, and he was all dressed up nice, and everyone was having fun and eating and all this. And she was really busy, really busy. She was serving this and doing that. And there was a knock on the door. And she went to the door, and here's this guy standing there. She said he had the bluest eyes she ever seen. But he was like tattered clothing and dark tattered clothing and just terrible. Looked like he was the poorest guy in the world. And he asked her, he says, I haven't had anything to eat for some time. Could I bother you for a sandwich or something to eat? And she looked, and everyone was crazy, at the wedding. And she says, look, she says, there's so many people here, and it's just crazy. Let me give you some money. He said, okay. So she gave him a few dollars. So he thanked her. And when he walks off, she said, and it was snowing. Oh, man, it was snowing up a storm. When he walked off, there was no footprints. And he's walking off, and man, it's like, and she looked near the door, and so she closes the door, and then he comes back, and he knocks on the door, and she opens the door, and he holds up his hand, and he says, I want to bless you with this, whatever it was. I don't remember what it was. And he says, and she said, there was a real power there when he said that. And then she closes the door and he leaves. She says, I want to bless you with this. Now I'm thinking of the guy down there in Sunnyvale that just did this a few months ago. And she does the same thing. She stands up and holds up her hand and blesses me, and kind of gibberish. But I feel this power. There was a power there. And I couldn't tell whether there was a bad power or a good power, just a power. And I thanked her, and then I went and got in the truck and put my stuff away. Went back to the shop. But I'd never forgotten that. And I remember thinking, maybe religion's important, because we wasn't going to church or anything. We wasn't going to a church. And so we, let's see, about a week later, ding dong, and my wife says, she was home. My wife says, these elders came by, these two young men, they had little badges, and they said they're from the Church of Jesus Christ, and they got a message for us. So I told them to come back when my husband's home. So they're coming here this evening. And I go, really? Okay. And I wasn't kind of in the mood for any. Oh, man. So they show up, and you got to understand, ever since I was 1 hour old, I always had this thought in the back of my mind, always, that I'm here for a special reason, something really special. Not just to get married and have kids and work and all this other crazy stuff. I'm here for something special, and it has nothing to do with that. Always had that back here, always, way back, hidden way back. Well, I didn't want to, man, they come by, and my wife invites them in, and they're nice guys, we shake hands and everything, and I wasn't ready for any type of religion, although I'd been thinking a little bit about it. So I said, elders, maybe later on, man, maybe a month or two later, but I'm just not ready yet, So, okay. Now my wife got mad at me. Her name was Linda. She got mad. That wasn't very nice after they left. I know, but I'm just not ready for that yet. Next night, ding dong, they're back. Two elders standing there. I go, you guys, this is what I said to them. I said, you guys are like Kirby vacuum cleaner salespeople. You know, because, man, they bug you until you buy a vacuum cleaner. I said, you're like the vacuum cleaner. Oh, man. The one elder stood back. Mr. Gaskell, he says, there's something that's been in the back of your mind ever since you were born. And it's hidden. And you don't quite know what it is. You know it's important. We can tell you. And it has something to do with this gospel. Man, when he said that, something unclicked. I go, you guys better come in. I better hear your message. And I practically drug them in, and it was good. That, I don't know, there were 6 or 7 lessons. I can tell you that every lesson I knew was 100% truth. I knew it. I didn't have to ask. I could feel the spirit of those lessons. Man, I knew they were very powerful. Very powerful. But I smoked cigarettes. Man, I couldn't quit. I tried. Well, Brother Gaskell, you can't get baptized unless you quit smoking. So I'm trying. Finally, after a couple months, I think they were about ready to throw in the towel. Because, man, what a terrible deal that is when you're smoking, man. It's terrible. The nicotine, it's really hard to get rid of. So they came by, and they were very adamant. They says, we've been praying about this situation with you. He says, what we want to do is we want to open up a fast. I said, a fast? Yeah, and they explained it. No food or drink for 24 hours. Man, no kidding? Yeah. And whenever you get hungry, you pray to Heavenly Father and tell him why you're fasting. I'm fasting to quit smoking. And 24 hours. So we'll open it tonight, and tomorrow night we'll come back. We'll have dinner with you. We'll close the fast, and then we'll have dinner with you. And that should take care of your problem. I said, really? He says, yeah. Okay, so we opened the fast. I was working downtown San Francisco. I had some calls down there. And man, I'll tell you what, back then, anywhere in San Francisco, downtown you were at, you could smell the food, the bakeries, the beef, oh man, and garlic and onion. Oh, it was like, because it had so many restaurants and everybody cooked this great food. Oh man, it was beautiful. And I'm downtown, I'm starving. Oh man, I'm driving around downtown going to calls, and I tried to window up, it didn't help. And I'm dying of starvation. So they come, I get home from work, and, oh man, I'm dying. And wife says, how you doing? I said, oh, I'm hungry. I'm ready to die. Okay. So they came, we closed the fast, we had dinner. Oh man, dinner was good. Whew. Now, after dinner, you got to have a cigarette. Oh, you got to have a cigarette. It's in the movies. Yeah. I knew I was good. I had them hidden. It wasn't a stereo, it was a monaural, a nice big amp, radio thing. Well, under the lid that had the tape recorder, I had my Winstons in there, right in there. And I knew after we ate and they left, I was going to go and grab that box of Winston and I'm going to have a little cigarette. And I knew it. So we finished eating. They said, "How do you feel?" And I said, "Well, I feel okay. At least now I got to eat, you know." He says, "This is going to work, Brother Gaskell. We don't know how, but it works." I said, "Okay." They leave. I'm looking over at that radio, and I was actually trying to get the urge, and I couldn't. It was gone. It was gone. I kept looking at the radio, and wife says, "You all right?" And I says, "Man, I don't want a cigarette. I'm not even thinking about it." And they're right there, and we just ate, and that was it. Yeah, so anyway, I wound up coming into the church with the family, and it was great. It was. I have to tell you about that. Talked too long again. I'm trying to keep it down. But it's good. It's good you know this. I got a feeling this is going to give you a lot of power over adverse things. So we'll keep talking about this kind of stuff. And I'll try to throw in some funny stuff once in a while. I don't know why I'm not funny lately, but let me ask. I'm going to ask Mickey. Mickey, am I funny? Okay. He says I'm not funny. Anyway, have a good week. Work hard. Make a lot of money. Thanks.